from the fiberglass resin. Right after you're done making the paper version, you're gonna want to put on resin here and just coat the entire inside of the helmet, and then you move on to this. We're gonna start right here. Is where we're gonna start. Just brush on resin. I'm using a really bad brush. The brushes I normally use are from Home Depot or Ace, and they're chip brushes, and they cost usually like 69 cents a piece, so it's pretty good. You'll go through a lot of them though. I'm gonna grab a piece, mat right here. You're gonna brush on the resin to the part that you want to apply it to, and then place down the mat right on top. Once you place it down, you want to dip your brush in more resin, and then press it down so that you know it's going to be stuck to the helmet or whatever your project is going to be. And then what you need to do is you need to get more resin, and you need to saturate the mat with it. So what we're going to do is, we're going to start poking. If we were to start brushing this while we have resin, it would slowly start pulling apart the strands, and that wouldn't be good. And it also moves around the mat. So just poke it on, just pat it on down with the brush, as you can see here. Just try to get it all. It starts out kind of a white color. You want it to be brownish by the time you're ready to move on to the next piece. Just make sure that you've secured it good enough to the helmet. And just pat it down right there. Saturate the brush, and then saturate the mat. And try to, what we're going to do here is, real quick. I was overlapping the piece over there because it actually fell off, and I had to use hot glue. I was out of super glue, so I used hot glue. And what you want to do is, after you're done with your first mat, you want to put the next one so it's overlapping, just to make sure it's stuck to that for extra support. And then do the same process. Brush on hardener, put it on the mat, and just saturate it by patting it. Don't brush it, or else it's just going to pull apart the strands and move it around, and that's not good. Also, the way I did this, let's talk a bit about that. So how I built the paper helmet is you just print it out, cut it, and glue it. Now I've noticed a lot of people use some hobby glue, that's some form of super glue, that's kind of expensive. To be honest, I use construction paper, and Elmer's glue sticks work just fine. For little tiny spots like that cove on the side, those little ridges, then you're going to want to use something like super glue or hot glue. I made the faceplate and the helmet base separately, and I just taped it on. It's same here. You want to avoid the edges where they meet, because if you don't avoid them, they're going to stick together. You'll have to get a Dremel out or a saw and start cutting it out. Just go around the side of the helmet. Normally you want to fiberglass and put mats down all around the inside of the helmet. You can't really do the outside of the helmet. That would, just because it's harder to sand and it's harder to add details and stuff, it would cover over details. So I'm just going to go around the helmet until I reach that rim, kind of where it stops, and then I'm going to work on the faceplate. This adds a lot of support. This really does. More about equipment. I don't know what I was trying to say there. About the equipment I use. The gloves I use are just latex. I'm not sure where you can find them. They should be relatively cheap. The respirator I use, what I was about to say, the respirator I use is, I got it from Home Depot. It's a multi-purpose respirator. I think it was a steal because I got it for $17, which is really great for some of the respirators you'll find, I think. I think it works with dust too. It's a really good respirator. Basically the rule is, if you can smell the stuff you're working with, it's not a good respirator. That's the basic rule. Definitely use one that protects against fumes. The resin and the Bondo, you can find those both at Ace or Home Depot or any US department store. I guess department stores in Britain or anywhere else too. This is kind of the expensive portion of it. I don't remember exactly how much it costs. Bondo was like $15, 17. It's around the 20s range. So this project is not really gonna be. It's gonna be a little bit expensive. So you can just find that anywhere. I got this resin at a hardware store. No, a auto parts store. So you can find them there too. You can see I'm patting it all down with resin. You can see that brown color in the middle. That's kind of what you want to go for. You just want to make sure that it's all saturated and sticky, and it's going to stick down to the bottom. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, the reason I wear the coat and long pants is just because the fumes, they'll hang around in your clothes. So what you need to do is after you're done with the helmet, immediately take out the cartridges for the respirator once you're inside too. But take off your clothes, put them in laundry, and then take a shower, just to get off all those fumes. Otherwise, people can smell you, and like the general rule is, if you can smell it, it's not good. You need to change something. This stuff is, it's cancer-causing, and it kills brain cells. Bondo, by the way, they can put a severe emphasis that if you swallowed it, you would probably die, and Bondo, if left untreated on skin, will cause massive burns. So, you need to use the right gloves. This stuff works, I'm pretty sure. Don't take my word on that, though. So we're just going to pat it down a little bit more. And just brush on. The chip brushes I use, I was actually out of them. I've done a lot of this. This is the second helmet I've ever built. The first one I built, I did pretty much everything wrong. I formatted the paper wrong, I cut it out wrong, I didn't glue it together right, I didn't use hardener, I did use hardener, but not with mats, and I didn't use any Bondo, and I didn't even sand it down. But it was pretty cool for my first experience. I've had this helmet for about a year now, just sitting around, roughly. I started about in summer. I started with the paper, because I was doing this the right way. I needed to start learning, so go slow. It may take a while when you first try. Once you're done, you can do a lot with it, though. Just place down mats. Oh, I also have a Dremel for stuff, but that's for later. Let's see, what else to talk about? Let's see. For the helmet, all I have left to do, let's see. So basically, first I'm going to tell you about specifically what these components are for. The paper that you use to print it out, that it's not exactly perfect. As you can see, there's kind of cracks and edges. So it's mainly used for just the foundation and just where you want to put everything. The fiberglass and fiberglass mats are kind of the skeleton to the build. They add support and they make sure it stays the way it is. So when you do this, you want to make sure that the helmet is in the correct position, and that it's all shaped nice, because it's not going to move after you put the mats on. With resin, after you add the first coat of resin, it's a little bit flexible, but with the mats, it adds so much structure and stability, and it's either you break it or it stays there. So this is the resin and mats are the skeleton portion, just to keep it all together and make sure it stays like this, just so you're not working with paper. The Bondo I use is the flesh. It's going to make everything look nice. So what you see here, the white portion on the helmets, that's where the Bondo is. You need to apply Bondo and then sand it down. I'll have a video for that later. And I've sanded down most of the face piece, and it looks pretty good. We need to add a lot more layers though. But just make sure that you don't go over the edges where the faceplate and the back of the helmet meet. Otherwise, if you get it with resin, you can use a Dremel to cut it out. In fact, when I was done with this, I just pulled it apart. It wasn't that difficult. I was pretty good with that. If you cover it with mats, that's not good. You'll definitely have to use a Dremel. And be careful. Okay, here I'm getting the face piece a bit. Yeah, I really shouldn't have added the paint in, just because the resin, basically everything we're using here, it needs something to grip. And it's not the best if it grips paper, because it's not going to be, if the mats, it's not going to be the best if it grips the paint. It might chip off a little bit. It just doesn't add as much direct support. But I did that during the electronic brainstorm portion of building this. I've got everything figured out, but that's for a different video. Yeah, oh, the mats, that's right. You can find the mats at the same place as resin. Basically, you can find almost everything at Ace and at Home Depot, or any hardware store, or not really hobby shops, but hardware stores. I've got a lot of fiberglass mats. Sorry, I don't remember quite the costs. I'm trying to focus on fixing the helmet and making it perfect, especially with electronics. So I don't know exactly what it is for this, how much it costs. But yeah, we're gonna do this. I still have to build the ears to the helmet and fiberglass that, so we'll have another portion just showing how to do more resin work. But we're coming near the end here, so I'll just show you the final results real quick. Follow that method I was talking about. You're gonna want to brush down the resin, put down the mats, and then just saturate it. Make sure they're overlapping, just not the parts you want to come apart. Oh no, wait, no, we still got a bit left. That was wrong. Okay. Here's kind of where it is at now. You can see that brown. It's kind of hard to see. You can see the little strands and crosses. That's where all the mats are. And that's going to add a lot of strength to this. Especially, so you need, when you do this helmet, if you're going to make the face piece separate, tape it with painter's tape. Be careful though, because it will rip the paper, even construction paper, which is what I used. Just tape, I made it separate, just tape together. Make sure you don't cover it too much. Here's my hands. They're really sticky. You don't want that on your actual hands. Here's the strands I was talking about. They're all over the board, but you can't really see them. So yeah, that's the helmet for now. I'll have a few more videos. Thanks for watching, and see you later.